Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Growth and Grace with Susan Brennan. And this morning, we're going to talk through a little bit of something that I've been going through lately, but we're on the other side of it. So I feel like this is a great time to share it because it's fresh and it's real and it's definitely something that's made a difference in my life. So I wanted to share that with you because that's a lot of the things that help me get through periods in my life are other people sharing what helped them get through similar seasons in their life. So, ta-da! Here's what we're going to talk about today is when you're in the waiting season. And specifically, I'm going to talk about waiting for discernment on how to move forward with something. And even more specifically than that, I'm going to be speaking to a specific scenario where and for me, and I'm like just at the tail end of this season, so it's been a while and it's taken a little while to get here, but in this specific season there's been a lot of seeking wisdom and a lot of seeking discernment on how to handle this particular situation. And there's been a lot of periods of time where the answer has not been evidently clear and how to move forward. Like, you know, when you're trying to figure something out and each step you go to take, you're like, yeah, that's not it. Like, that's not the step. And so then you're like, well, maybe this here. And then you go to start taking it and like, so I believe in the Holy Spirit. So I believe the Holy Spirit guides and prompts and like supports and helps bring words. And so I seek wisdom from God, and I also seek wisdom from some amazing people He's put in my life, and just really going to the Holy Spirit for discernment and like how do I respond here? How do I approach this? And this season for me, although this might look different for you, for me this season has been a lot of like personal attacks coming at me and character attacks, integrity attacks, like things that just are not true. And it's been, as you can imagine, like whenever anyone says anything that's not true about you, it can ruffle some feathers and rile you up a little bit. Yeah. Don't forget to stay hydrated. If you haven't had any water yet today, drink some water. My goodness sakes. Go get a cup. You can pause this. You can come back to this, but go get some water. So a lot of this has been like, people have said things about me before in the past that aren't true. But when it comes from someone that you thought was a friend, it extra hurts. And when it's like an ongoing thing and they reach out just to attack you, it's like, this is not normal behavior, first of all, but what in the world? Like, what? And it feels very out of the blue. I'm not going to get into all the details of all the different things, but basically this has been going on for several months, and it's just, I mean, at this point, it's almost, I'm not quite there yet, but it's like almost laughable at how ridiculous the things are that are being said. But letting go of that, there's been a lot of waiting for like, how do I respond, and seeking that wisdom. And what I'm learning and what has been really helping me like rest and feel peaceful and wait in this season has been honestly to not respond. And that's coming from someone, I used to have to respond to everything. Like I just had this innate need to respond. If anyone sent me a text, if anyone sent me an email, like I was frantic about it and I would get so worked up. And I always felt like, wow, I have to respond. I must respond. Like I have to address this. And at the end of the day, that's actually not true. Like you don't have to address every single thing. You don't have to respond to every single thing. You don't have to try to combat every single thing. And we see it online with like the internet trolls, right? Where everyone's like commenting, oh, that's so good. We're so excited for you. And then someone will come on and just write like a really nasty, like attacking post. And anyone who tries to come against that post and say, you know, how dare you? That's so mean. Like, you should be ashamed. This is terrible. And then the troll just like keeps going. Like you're not going to change their mind. You're not going to shift their perspective. You're not going to just change them by a simple comment. They're not in a conversation with you at that point. They're in attack mode. And what I'm learning is that if someone's not willing to be in conversation with you and actually have a dialogue back and forth and address the things, then it doesn't do any good to try to address the things on your own. Like I really, and I've thought through so many different responses, like how could I respond to them, acknowledge that they're feeling, whatever way, however irrational it is, but acknowledge that they're in a spot where they're feeling this. Okay, I felt irrational before, so I get that. But like I keep thinking of how could I respond, and every single time I draft that response in my head, or sometimes, I've typed out responses, that every single time I think, okay, I go and I like maybe come up with one or two sentences that feel like, okay, maybe that would be received well, right? Which we already can't control how someone's going to receive it. We can only control how we are when we send it and what we choose to communicate. But every time I get that ping from the Holy Spirit, like, don't send that. That's not it. Like, that's not the communication to send. And so I haven't gotten a green light to send anything yet. And so it's been a few months of just receiving these attacks and not responding. And it's a little bit challenging. I'm not going to lie. But, at the same time, it's also very liberating to know that I don't need to be guided by this one person's false opinion of me. Well, it's not false, it's their opinion. So for them, it's very true. But as far as actual truth goes, it's not at all. But I don't need to be guided by that. I don't need to be directed by that. I don't need to let it influence how I'm going to live my life or how I'm going to approach friendships in the future. Like, okay. And to be able to let it wash off my back like that it's pretty new for me. I'm not going to lie. Like, I still want to internalize it. Sometimes I have to catch myself and be like, don't take it in. That's not even true. But this also isn't friendship. Like, friends don't treat friends like that. And to be able to let that go is very liberating. So I'm sharing all of this because what it has allowed for me to do is to actually rest in a season where previously I would have been feeling anxious and frantic and angsty and like, oh my gosh, how am I going to respond and what am I going to do? And I would have been all up in my head about it and just continually overanalyzing it. And I still have those moments, let's just be super honest. But at the same time, I'm able to really, at the end of the day, just say, you know what, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't really matter what this person thinks about me at the end of the day. And I can't control what they think about me. And when I look back at the years of friendship I had and how I poured into their life and the impact I had in their life, which that's the only good thing they will say is, you've really impacted my life in a lot of ways. When I look back at all that and I'm like, you know what? If you look at the track record, I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm sure over the course of years, I have said something or done something hurtful. I'm not going to try to deny that. And at the same time, when people just are looking for things that are wrong with you, and there's nothing you could do or say to prove it otherwise. There's nothing you could do or say to change their mind or remind them like, hey, if you actually look back over the course of time, what you're saying does not hold up at all, like at all. But okay, I guess if that's where you're going to be, then that's where you're going to be. So allowing, really allowing yourself that freedom of recognizing it's not up to you to change their mind, and how they view you does not need to change how you view yourself. So, and I know I've touched on this before, and I touch on it a lot with coaching clients of, whose voice are you letting into your life? Because I don't want a voice that's speaking lies to me. I don't want a voice that's speaking like, you're all of these yada, yada, yada things that are not true, because then that's the spot that I live from. And I love things like this. I saw, Val, I just saw your comment about my shirt. Which way am I moving my hair so you can see it? So it says fun and holy. Ha, fun and holy. Ha. But when you claim stuff like this, that's way more fun and light and true, or like my company name is Growth and Grace. This whole scenario has given me a lot of opportunities for growth and grace. Because let me tell you, I'm just going to be super straight with you guys. There are times where my responses that I want to send and just be like, you know what? That's the last time. I'm not putting up with this anymore. But it doesn't matter. Like, whether I'm going to put up with it or not, I can't control if this person's going to continue communicating at me or not. They can find ways. People can find ways to get nasty messages to you, especially when they're motivated. And like, you can't control that, but I can control how I respond to it. And when I choose to respond and be like, you know what would fun and holy Susan do? What would growth and grace Susan do? When I choose to let those truths speak into my life, when I choose to let my encouraging friends who really know me and who know, who know how to encourage me and who know how to kind of mine the gold out of me, when I let those truths help guide how I communicate, what I say, you know, how I act, how I treat people, it's a way calmer and restful space to be in. Because if I wanted to go back to my old ways of being like anxious and worried and concerned and like, oh my gosh, but they think this about me, but that's not true. How can I make them realize that what they're thinking about me isn't true? But you can't. So I'm telling you, and I lived years of not getting this and not implementing this, but when you can really let yourself let it go and let yourself not have their opinion, not the fact, not the truth, but their opinion rule your life and your actions, like, it's super liberating. So all of that, we're going to just tie it up nice here at the end and, you know, bring this sucker in for a landing, is the true way to be able to rest in the waiting sometimes is to not take the reaction, is to not take the reaction actions. That's what I was trying to say, is to really, like, you can think through and allow yourself to go there and be like, okay, well, this is what I really want to say. Like, here's what's up. This is the language that I would like to use. And then recalibrate it. And then really come at it from a mature approach. Like, okay, no, I don't actually want those words out there. I don't actually want to communicate that to that person. I don't want to speak those things over that person. In the moment, though, I get that you do. And sometimes there's like, you know what, I don't even want to type that word. That's a really mean word. Like, I don't want to put that. But, you know, I get it. In the moment, the heat of the moment, you're just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to lay it out for you real clear right now. But when you let yourself step back and you let yourself really sink in and be in full integrity with, like, the true you, like, fun and holy Susan would not send some of those nasty messages. And I'm like, it's okay to have the thought and let the thought pass, but don't linger on it and don't send it and don't communicate that. Choose to only communicate things that are going to build other people up. And to be super honest, like, there's times where I've wanted to give feedback to this person and be like, hey, like, I want to receive what you're saying, but it's not, like, it's all accusatory and attacking. Like, what part of you thinks that's friendship, right? There's parts of me that want to say that, but at the end of the day, when I look at it, every single time I go to write it or communicate it, the tone that I feel for myself is not a genuine, like, I'm going to try to build you up right now and help you become a better person. It's like, no, you know what? I'm going to just tell you how you're being right now. And it's really not okay. But it's not from that helpful friendship standpoint. So it doesn't feel authentic for me to actually send that, my little reminder to start wrapping up. It doesn't feel authentic for me to actually communicate that, because it's not from a clean space. It's not from a totally genuine, like, no, I actually really want to help you grow. It's from a, like, I kind of want to defend myself right now. This isn't cool how you're handling it. And so when you can recognize that, it's okay to not take the action then that follows, because it's not from that clean space. So allow yourself to step out of it enough to recognize, okay, if I communicate this, is it coming from a totally genuine, like, really honestly, this is, anyone could question me under pressure on this, and this is how I would respond. Because honestly, no. Like, a lot of the time, I'm not going to put that on you, but for me, a lot of the time, it's like, you know what? No, that communication doesn't need to happen in that way at that time. So resting in the waiting comes from not taking the action that sometimes our reactions want us to take. So it's choosing instead to respond with maturity and integrity. And sometimes those responses don't come for a while. And that's something that's helping me, like really, that's something that in this season I'm really recognizing, is that you don't have to respond. You don't have to craft a mature response to send just so you can say you responded. Like sometimes the maturity is in not responding, right? Sometimes it's the wisdom of, I'm not going to open my mouth right now. Like, I'm just not, because what I would say or what I would want to say in the moment, in the reaction, is not kind. It's not fun and holy. It's not, you know, full of growth and grace. And I don't want to, like, you can't unsay things. So I don't want to say something that I'm going to look back on when I'm in a less emotional state, or when I'm in, you know, just really being able to look back at the situation without being triggered. I don't want to look back and be like, oh, I really didn't want to say that. Like, that's not actually what I wanted to say. That was a reaction. So anyway, all of that said, sometimes you can just rest and not respond and not react, and just allow yourself to handle things behind the scenes, get wisdom from other people. Like, definitely this isn't ignoring the situation. That's a different thing. That's not healthy. This is choosing instead to say, you know what, I don't need to respond right now. And sometimes you don't need to respond. So that right there, that very last thing, is for someone. You don't have to respond. They might want you to, they might provoke you to, but at the end of the day, you don't have to. You get to be at peace with your decisions and your reactions and how you choose to move forward. And sometimes moving forward looks like resting in the waiting. So with that, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to end this bad boy today, but I'll see you guys next week, every Thursday, 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, for episodes of Growth and Grace right here on my personal page. Woohoo! All right. Have an amazing day, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.